So, have you always wanted to be a pianist, or did you start with other dreams in mind?
Well, when I was younger, the two things I did were piano and then dancing ballet. So when I was in eighth grade, I had to make a decision because I reached a point where I couldn't keep up both. Um, so if I hadn't become a pianist or decided to pursue music, I probably would have um, been a dancer, or I always fancied being a chef because I love cooking. So those are my two possible other careers.
Now, someone who is inspired by food, do you watch the Food Channel, or do you have any specific shows that you like to watch, like the Great British Baking Championship,
I
perhaps?
love the Great British Baking Show. And I must say the other one, because we didn't have TV growing up, and so if we were ever traveling and on the TV, the most common show we would see was Chopped. But I think the best cooking show there is MasterChef.
Now, did you have a first job when you were growing up, or were you able to escape that from as far as having to earn money as when you were growing up?
I was fortunate enough to escape that, but I won't say escape because I'm sure for some people their first job was probably a wonderful experience. So for me, technically, my first job was performing, which I'm lucky to say. And yeah, I just grew up in a very supportive family, so I was able to study music and pursue my dreams.
That's wonderful. Was there something that made you want to start playing the piano, or was this something that maybe your parents encouraged you to start, or was this your own idea?
It was a little bit of both. My parents love music. They're not musicians, but I always grew up with music around the house. And so they encouraged me to start piano. But it really started when I think the story goes, and I don't remember this, but my mom always tells me about it. When I was a toddler, I saw a violinist performing on TV, and I asked to learn the violin. And because of that, my parents said, okay, well, you should probably start with piano since it's a good building block instrument and it's a good foundation instrument. So that's how I started piano. And I sort of just fell in love with the instrument. And I did learn violin when I turned 8. I studied for about 6 years. I studied violin. And then once I was accepted to Curtis, I stopped. But um, that's sort of how the instrument all started.
Aha. And when you say toddler, do you mean something as young as 3 years old, or
Probably, yeah, 3 or 4 years old. But I didn't start piano until I was 5.
who are your inspirations in life? It can be a musician or a non-musician.
I must say my parents inspire me a lot, a great deal. Just seeing how hard they work to support our family. Also, my teachers. Right now, I'm currently studying with Gary Graffman, who is a legend and so full of experience and wisdom. He's always telling us wonderful stories of just his career, but also his experiences in life, which is inspiring. My other teacher currently, Bob McDonald, every lesson is just, it's a trove of learning. Um, so those are probably my main inspirations.
Is there anyone that you would want to meet that you haven't met yet in life?
Um, I was thinking about this, and the first thing that came to mind was Celine Dion. I don't know why, it's very random, but she's just such a generous personality, and she's such a powerhouse. And last February, this was before the pandemic, my mom and I went to one of her concerts. It's the first time we've ever seen her live, and my mom's a huge Celine Dion fan. Um, and it was a really fun time. So it's a little off topic and it's not really classical music, but that's just a random. famous person that would be really cool to meet.
Sounds like your mom and my dad would get along very, very well. They're both huge Celine Dion fans. So great. This is always a question I always get asked as a musician, so I'm going to ask you too. Is there another instrument that you would wish that you would play? I know you played violin when you were younger, but knowing now, looking backwards, is there another instrument that you wish you could play?
Cello, if I ever could. It's, I mean, as if I need to explain more. It's such a beautiful instrument. So it'd be
Yes.
wonderful to know how to play it.
What is your favorite post-concert treat?
Chinese food,
Chinese food.
probably. I mean, it depends because often the first thing I want is water because it's very dehydrating to be on stage for a long period of time. And
Mhm.
then um, I don't know about you, but sometimes after a concert, I'm not very hungry because just the whole experience is kind of draining. But if I had anything, probably a good meal or
Uh-huh.
dessert.
If you have spare time, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I love to walk. I love being outside, and that's definitely been a highlight of being in quarantine is just having time to go out and walk in nature um, and just get fresh air.
Hmm.
I also love to sing and cook and watch movies, I guess.
Wow. So when you sing, are you singing classical music or are you singing popular music?
Pop songs
Pop songs. Okay.
or random things that I'm just like noodling around.
Since I asked you about what you like to do, is there anything that you don't like to do?
I don't like waking up early. Does that count?
Absolutely, it counts. What is the side of you that the public doesn't get to see?
Probably my crazy side. If my friends or my sister will tell you all about it.
Okay, give us a little bit of insight on what it means to be crazy. I have a feeling that maybe crazy for you may be a little bit different than crazy for other people, but let's see.
Well, I just have if especially if I'm very tired, I just I don't know, it's maybe my humor or something. I don't know how to describe it really. It's not like I'll do something stupid or anything like that. But I'm just more extroverted, perhaps.
So, do you find that people think that you're more introverted then?
Not necessarily. Um, I would say that I don't know what it's called, but I've read things where like you're an extroverted introvert or vice versa. It's so um I and it's something I've worked on since I was a child because when I was younger I was definitely very shy, but now I'm much more comfortable talking and just engaging with people. And I do love to meet new people and to talk, um, but I don't like big parties or that sort of thing.
So, some things like receptions when you're meeting the public after a performance, is that
That's
something?
different
Aha,
because I really do enjoy meeting the audience and interacting with the people that I'm sharing music with. To me, that's such a special experience. What would be a concert without an audience? So
absolutely.
that's different.
Okay, so when you say a party, you're talking about just get-togethers that have nothing to do with music and or just about.
Yeah, the stereotypical situation where you're meeting a lot of new people for the first time and you just have shallow conversation.
Icebreaker type questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, oh, I like this. Is there a sound? Is there a sound or noise that you just love?
I love the sound of horse hooves.
Horse hooves.
Yeah, especially on cobblestone. I think it's very therapeutic.
Clip clop, clip clock. Uh-huh. Is that something that you grew up hearing as a child, or is that something that
It's just when I have heard it, I think it's a nice sound to hear.
I love that. I love that. Now, is there a sound that you don't like?
My alarm clock. It's like an anxiety-inducing noise.
Okay, so this is a question that gets asked a lot, but is there a superpower that you wish you could have?
I would probably say teleporting because I love to travel, but I hate airplanes. I just think it's so uncomfortable to travel by plane. Um, so if I could teleport, I could travel anywhere in the world in an instant, right? And be able to see any or visit any place I wanted, which would be amazing.
Is there a place, speaking of traveling, is there a place in the world that you haven't been to yet that's on your bucket list?
I would love to go to Korea because I've never been to Korea. There are plenty of places in Europe that I'd love to visit as well. Um, I must say, I was in Switzerland 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago, and it was the most beautiful place I've ever been. And I would love to go back just because of the scenery. It's just so stunning.
Who is your desert island composer?
I would probably say Chopin right now, just because I've lived with his works the most out of any composer so far. And I really do feel a special connection to his music and just the soul of his of him really. Um, and I think there's just always something to learn from his music. It's full of surprises.
Do you enjoy a specific genre that Chopin wrote in more than, say, others? The ballades, the nocturnes, the waltzes, etudes,
Um,
polkas?
I can't. I won't say any specific genre really, uh, and that's probably also in part because from my experience at the Chopin competition, I played works from so many genres. So I really feel like there's a lot to be gained from any genre of within his body of works.
Mhm. Do you have any advice for the musical community as we continue to navigate this pandemic for however much longer we have to endure?
To stay positive, I think that's important, and to keep busy as much as possible in whatever ways. Um, I know it's a difficult time to navigate, and it's so hard to stay motivated when you don't have performances or you can't play chamber music or see your colleagues and work together in person. So really, that would be my best input.
Absolutely, staying positive and feeling joy
Yeah.
and finding motivation to move through
Mm.
every day. Absolutely. That's great advice. Now it's time for some rapid fire questions. Okay. Okay. We just have a list of, I think, 10 questions that are very, very important to me. And I'm just going to say them out to you. Okay. Here we go. Rapid fire. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl,
Coffee or tea?
coffee,
Breakfast or lunch?
lunch,
Summer or winter?
winter,
Cats or dogs?
dogs,
Planes or trains?
trains,
Sun or moon?
sun,
Beach or mountains?
mountains,
Sweet or savory?
sweet,
Rolling Stones or Beatles?
definitely Beatles.
All right. Interesting combination there. There's a couple there. I mean, I knew from our talking that which way you would answer. So basically, I have you pictured in the mountains, in glorious sun, having arrived there by train, with a dog by your side, listening to the Beatles, something like that. Not in the early morning.
Pretty accurate.
fantastic. Well, it's such a joy getting to know you this way, and
Likewise.
it's so much. We're so fortunate to be able to make music early on in this pandemic compared to a lot of our colleagues, and especially with the music of Mozart, which I, as I've, there's that thing people say about Mozart, you play him well when you're either very, very young or very, very old. And it's so hard because it exposes everything about your soul, about your mind,
Mm-hmm.
about your technique. Everything is out there, but it's such a pleasure to be able to get to know his music. And this piece that you're playing is not one of those that is one of the more grand
Mm-hmm.
concertos, right? Can you say something about the piece that stuck out at you as you were? Because I know I gave you a few choices to listen to. What about this particular piece made it more obvious choice for you compared to the others?
It's a very joyful work, and as you mentioned previously, the second movement is so poignant, uh, just really beautiful. And I won't say in comparison to diminish the other works that we were looking at, but I just felt a specific connection to this piece more so than the others.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just so happy to have the chance to work through it and learn it and to play it with you in a couple weeks.